I hope you're all doing very well. It is Monday here, and man, got a lot to do buried in this warehouse. We have less than a week left. I believe on the 27th, it ends the campaign, pre-order campaign for ISOM number 2. So go ahead and get those orders in if you have not already. Of course, we're shipping right now. Today, we're going to be talking about enthusiasm in comics, comic book media, and how the mainstream is unable to kind of do that right now. It's happening, and you see that with both books as well as the media based on that, like movies, TV shows, and so forth. It's fewer and far further, let's say that, between. Now, what I'm referring to right here is Blue Beetle. It only lands at a $25 million opening. They got a long way to go. It says right here, this is covered by Deadline. Even though this weekend's new entries, Warner Bros., DC's Blue Beetle, and Universal Strays aren't coming in at the top of their projections with respective lower weekends of 25.4, 8.3 million. The overall health of the theatrical business is still in good shape. So they're referring to being bolstered still by Barbie as well as Oppenheimer. It remains to be seen what the toll will be on today's box office in Los Angeles from the onset of Hurricane Hillary. If heavy rains, no one is going out. Blue Beetle, you can't blame that. Blue Beetle is currently overperforming in LA. Seriously, this weekend could have been a subtraction of the Blue Beetle because, all right, so Deadline's trying to cover saying, well, it's doing bad because of other reasons or not doing as good after making $10 million on Friday. Blue Beetle eased 15% on Saturday for $8.5 million, which indicates front loading. According to ComScore, more kids return to school. You're just blaming all of this on other stuff, man. What is this? Why the under delivery here on Blue Beetle, even at $30 million? That isn't big enough start for this $104 million production. Yes, it's not going to really make money if it keeps on this trajectory. It'll have to get some sort of growth. It'll have to have the second week will have to be incredible, and the only way you can do that is by just great word of mouth. That's the only way that you can do it. Well, this movie just wowed the people that did actually go out there and give it a chance, and it is talking about Cinema Score giving it an A. Grades were based on yada yada, where the movie gets a 90% with Latino and Hispanic moviegoers who led the charge at 39% to Caucasians, 27% turnout, 65% grade. So yeah, it's just not doing good. It's just not doing good. And look, what this all boils down to, you've heard me mention this before, is just the enthusiasm, man. And by the way, the director, was his name Angel or whatever, the guy that said something along the lines of he wanted Trump's presidency to end like Lincoln. I think he said that's the only thing that had in common. Some along those lines. Don't actually quote me on that. Go watch my previous video where we actually look at the form of tweets. He's had some interesting things to say about other characters in the DC universe. This is just, it was off to a bad start. Yes, it's a more obscure character in Blue Beetle, so you can't expect it to just do crazy numbers. However, you still can have it do a success or be a success. But spending $104 million, that's a lot of money. You're seeing comic book movies spend double that, triple even. But for that, it was $104 million. So even with that lower end of what we've recently seen from the comic book movies, it's struggling. It's especially struggling. You could imagine if this had like a $200 million budget. But yeah, some of that has to do with going into this new universe that's being built by James Gunn. No matter how much he co-signs it, how much stake is in the game, with continuity stuff, is it going to be keeping this? Is it not? All of that. It's just a general enthusiasm right now with comic book media just isn't there. Even the normies, which they sought to appeal to, they don't have really. This goes for DC and Marvel. They don't really have they don't have that guaranteed audience anymore. Where you had people that were just stoked to see characters appear in live action. Those guys kind of got kicked out or put to the side, and really, I'll say, sacrificed for appealing to the normies. And normies, as you find out, they're flaky. They kind of move with the tide. That's what makes them normies. That doesn't make them bad by any means, but just understand what you're dealing with. If you are to go after that audience, trying to be the master of none, trying to have this what they deem as wide appeal, you get what you get right now. So when you do come up short and there is no real enthusiasm around your projects or even the genre it is that you're performing in, This is what you get. This is exactly what you get. And of course, you're going to have those blaming it on superhero fatigue and all of that stuff. And no, it's just dog shit fatigue. That's all. Mundane fatigue, if you want to call it that, when the experience is mundane and people just aren't attracted to it. The whole superhero fatigue, as you've heard me say before, that's letting these idiots get off easy, because what it does is allows them to go back and say, well, it's not our fault. It's just the audience's fault because they're no longer interested in this. It's not our fault. When that's just not the case. If it was stuff that was good, you wouldn't be, or just at least they had enthusiasm around their projects, surrounding the projects, then this wouldn't even be a conversation it is that we're having. So that's something that they went out of their way to do. They were on top of the world with this genre and they tanked it. That was on them, and they should be culpable, or rather, they should be the ones that we're blaming for this. Simple as that. If you like this video and want to get into a new comic book universe, visit Rippaverse.com. Our first campaign for ISOM 1 hit $3.7 million, and the pre-order campaign for ISOM 2 is currently live. So go check it out and watch the official launch trailer, which is the first animation of Rippaverse Studios.